We're now in the 10th Perek of Shoftim. And in this Perek, we meet up with two new Shoftim, Tola ben Pua, who is from the tribe of Yisachar, and he does not rule or lead in Yisachar, but rather in Shamir in Har Ephraim. Now, let's just talk about how the Perek begins. Vayakam acharei Avimelech. So after Avimelech, LaHoshea et Yisrael, the next Hoshea, not the king, but the next Hoshea, the next leader who to help the Bnei Israel was Tola ben Pua. So first of all, we're recognizing that Avimelech is in the category of being a leader because it's the next one after Avimelech. Why would it even mention Avimelech? Unless Hashem is recognizing that even Avimelech, really who we've gotten to know as a very, very not Erlicha guy, someone even like him, had something. He was in the position, LaHoshea et Yisrael, to help the Bnei Israel in some way, on some level. And so he is recognized. Everything that we do, anything Latova, is recognized by Hashem. Of course, it's in the opposite as well, because Hashem really sees everything. But it really is a very important message. Now, Tola ben Pua, we're not going to know what he actually did. All we know is Vayishbot et Yisrael Esrim v'shalosh shana, that he led the people for 23 years. And then he dies and he's buried in Shamir. Now, he's buried where he worked. He's buried where he could have the most kavod, not with his people in Yisachar, which raises a very interesting idea, concepts that Rabbi Rosner talks about, where what's the best place to be buried? Is it better to be buried where in a place where you're going to have a makom of kavod for you, or is it better to be buried in a place that's going to be convenient for people to come visit you? And kavod really wins out every single time. But but the idea is that we don't know exactly what he does. All we know is that he crosses over lines of being a shofet to different people, and he does the opposite of what Gideon does. Remember, Gideon goes home, and he doesn't go home. He actually spreads out, and he shows camaraderie to all of his people, to all the different Shoftim, which perhaps is the antidote to what has just happened, where there was a love loss instead of a love embracement from all of the people from the different Shoftim. The next guy is Vayakam acharav, after him Yair HaGiladi. Yair Giladi, that means from the other side of Gilad, which means that we are talking about someone from Manasseh. And he's there for 22 years. We don't also have any idea about what he did. The only thing that we know is that he's a complete person. How do we know? Because he had 30 sons and 30 chariots and 30. The idea of 30, which will be mentioned soon in the next, in Perek Yud Beis, is really this, a measurement of completion, because there's a lot of 30, and it's no wonder, to highlight that he was really someone who was a Besra man. She had it going on, both in his children and in what he owned. And he lives in a place called Chabos Yair. Chabos Yair is very significant because Chabos Yair, perhaps his ancestors, or some say maybe it was him. There was a guy named Yair who was the son of Manasseh, but that would have been like hundreds of years ago. So in these chronology, he would be like 300 years old. But in Chavos Yair, what happens is he in the neighborhoods of Yair, that is where his family, that's what they named the place. So Yair names the place Chavos Yair. His other relative named the place not Chovas Novach, but just Novach. And Novach, this place, does not last. We never hear about it again, and it goes away. And why is that? And here is the Musar of the Perek, and that is Rav Schwab mentions. This is a Rav Schwab vort that is given by Rabbi Rosner, that many times. and that is that when it comes to your belongings, when you treat them as chovos yair, meaning not just it's not what makes me, but it is an element of what I can do with what my belongings are, then that lasts forever. But if my whole being and who I am as a human being is Novach is the place, I am my belongings, then that is a mentality that does not last forever. That is not the winning mentality. So when I use my belongings to the best of my capability, it doesn't define me, but it certainly is something that could be helpful, that through me, good things can help and change and be given, then that lasts forever. Vayamas Yair Vayechaber Bakamon, and he dies and he is buried. Now, that is part 1 of the Perek. We have 2 great leaders. We don't know anything about them except that they're leaders for a successful amount of time, 23 and 22 years. That's a long time. And then we go on, V'yasvu b'nei Yisrael lasot hara b'nei Hashem. B'nei Yisrael do not do well in the eyes of Hashem. And again, the same galgal, the same cycle, Vayavidu es Baalim and the Ashtaros and all, they bring in all of the idols and all the gods of all the other nations. And obviously, Vayazu es Hashem, they leave Hashem below Avzuhu, and they don't serve Hashem. And so Hashem gets mad. Vayim Karim, remember, he sells them to the Plishtim. He doesn't know what to do with them. I love you a lot, but like you're not behaving, so I'm selling you, so to speak. For 18 years, they really get, all the Bnei Israel are tormented by the hands of Plishtim and the Bnei Ammon. And they cross over the Bnei Ammon to fight with Yehuda and Binyamin and Ephraim. And the Bnei Israel are under a lot of distress. And so what do? Finally, B'yizaku Bnei Israel Hashem, we cry out to Hashem. Have we not heard this before? Do we not do this? And what do we say? Chatanu lach, we are sorry. As bad as the Bnei Israel seem to be because they don't seem to get the messages, that's how easy that they're able to negate their own ego and say, Hashem, I'm so sorry. Azavnu es Elokeinu. We left you, v'na'avoda balim, and we know exactly what we did wrong. There's no whitewashing it. They're aware. That's the difference when the Bnei Israel are on the level of Urim and Tumim, the Beis Hamikdash. This is the level where it's so crystal clear. You're right. We did wrong. Now we live in Galus where everything is Megala. Things are hidden. We don't, it's like, what is it that's causing not Mashiach to come? It's not clear. What is it that's the right answer? Not clear. Nothing is clear anymore. But for them, that's such a beautiful way to have an understanding of what we really missed out, what we miss out on. When we say every day, Hashem, I want the Beis Hamikdash to be rebuilt, we are asking for clarity. We're asking that everything just makes sense. And here, they knew right away what they did. And Hashem says to Bnei Israel, you know what? Why don't you go ask your Mitzri God or your Amori God? Because I rescued you from Egypt and the Amoris and the Moabis and the Ammon and the Plishtim and all these people. And when you asked me, when you asked me, I did what you asked. Va'atem azavtem oti, but you left me. V'tavdu Elohim acharim. Lachein lo usif lo shia. This is such a hard line. I am not going to help you. And you, lachu v'zaku es Elohim asher bachartamam. Go cry out to the gods that you chose first, and maybe they'll help you. And it's not just a sarcastic tone; it's a hurt tone. Hashem is hurt. This is not a relationship that I have with the people that you can act like this. But Yamru b'nei Yisrael Hashem, and again, it's so crystal clear. Chatanu, aseh ata lanu kachol hatov beinecha. We did you bad, and you're allowed to do whatever you want. But please, but you do. First of all, we don't want the Goyim to do whatever they want and see fit. You're running the show. Don't let Hitler do even worse to us, and Mitzrayim torture us even more. Do Kedas v'Kedin. Okay, they have to punish us, let them punish us, but nothing more. Don't let it be in the hands of man. Let it be in your hands, Hashem. You are a kind and a gentle and a sweet being. And so we'd rather kachol tov be'inecha, what you think is good. But please, just save us anyway. Save us. And so what happens? They remove all the Avodah Zarah. And remember, we can't judge them because Avodah Zarah was taken away. So the Yetzer Hara, our inclination and our temptation for Avodah Zarah is not even there. But they do it. They remove everything. And so the Ammon people, they're getting ready to attack in Gilad. And Yisrael, they're in Mitzpah. And the troops say to one another, whoever is in the first to fight of Ammon is going to be the leader over us. And that's where the Perek ends. What we have is that we don't really know anything about these two Nevi'im, these two Shoftim. But we know that there was 45 years that Bnei Israel could have been entrenched in good things. And it didn't help. That too was just so, this power of Avodah Zarah was just so strong. What is our Avodah of today? We have so many Avodah Zarahs. And so we can't really point fingers, but we have to learn from history. Otherwise, history is doomed to repeat itself. We have to know that it's all about Hashem. And when we put Hashem first, then we're doing what's right. When we don't, no matter how you whitewash it, it's not good. And Hashem ultimately comes and he says, what? I don't understand. I loved you. I did everything for you. Why would you do this? And then we, in the olden days, we knew exactly what we did wrong. We only did one thing. Remember when Gideon sent those people away, said, whoever is afraid that they did one Avera, halavai, I should be on the level where I'm afraid that I only did one Avera. But we see that what was good about the Nevi'im, the Shoftim, the Shofi Tola, is that he crossed boundaries. He didn't just stay within his Sheda. So he was doing a kapara, tshuva, for what had happened in the past, where brother wasn't good to brother. And Mirz Hashem, we will have a time where we have that in spades, where all of the people are good to each other, where the leaders are leaders not just for themselves, but for everybody else. And ultimately, we learn from our mistakes and we just cling to Hashem and we show loyalty and allegiance to the Melech Malchei Amlachim with full clarity.